the final goal is to eradicate humanity as we know it. Once you understand the final destination, it becomes much easier to look back and identify the psychological conditioning, the biological tampering, the cultural grooming and the educational prepping that we have been subjected to for decades in preparation to making us accept a post-human future. It takes a lot of physical and psychological abuse to get an intelligent species like ours to agree to its own extinction. Most, if not all, that has transcended in the last 60 years was designed to get us closer to accepting such a dystopian reality. Whether you care to accept it or not, we live in a hyper-controlled matrix where our perception of reality is meticulously planned, managed, and executed in order to control and steer us in whichever direction they wish. And the direction is a post-human world. For this, they first needed to destabilize, dehumanize, and demoralize humanity through every means possible. The destruction of the nuclear family, children being indoctrinated by the state, abortion, the eradication of God and spirituality from education, life in megacities and away from nature, toxic food, air and water, social media, replacing real human connection and interaction, engineered financial crisis and taxation, endless wars and massive migration, stress, anxiety, depression, drugs and alcohol, constant fear-mongering, moral relativism as the new religion, and I could go on and on about how humanity has been influenced and forced to move away from all the things that give us strength, security, purpose, and meaning. A weak, immoral, disconnected, ignorant, and unhealthy population is an easy target for the next stage, the creation of an entire generation of androgynous beings. Masculinity is under attack psychologically, culturally, and biologically. Women are being replaced in sports, entertainment, and politics by men pretending to be women, and children are being indoctrinated at school to think that gender is a choice. The transgender movement is not a grassroots movement. It comes from the top. It has nothing to do with people's freedom of expression, sexuality, or civil rights. It's an evil psyop with a clear agenda to get us closer to transhumanism by making us question the most fundamental notion of human identity, our gender. If you don't know who you are, if you already identify as a hybrid between a man and a woman, you will be easily convinced to become a hybrid between human and machine. Gender ideology is the 2 + 2 = 5 from George Orwell's 1984 dystopian novel. It's the final test to see whether we will follow the most absurd party line towards our own extinction. But 2 + 2 = 4. And no matter how you choose to dress, call yourself, or change your physique, will not change that. The sad reality, though, is that in the gaslighting process to get us closer to a post-human future, they have mentally and physically harmed an increasing number of children and young people, and it's only getting worse. This must be stopped.
Shalom, Kahala, Yahawah, B'Shem Yahawashi, B'Shem Qadash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. May the house of David be born again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yahawah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about an overview of the agenda that Esau is pushing upon the world, where it will ultimately lead to, as the lady said, a post-human future. But let's read this first. This is Matthew 24 and 22. And except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And from what we had just watched in that video, it was from a symposium from the Better Way conference. If you want to find out more about it, it's betterwayconference.org. Ultimately, it's what it's about is some of the more intellectual voices out there in the blogosphere that have been calling out a lot of these things. People like James Corbett, Richard Vobes. I recognize these people. This guy here too. He's I believe a Scottish journalist. He's always on I think on BBC, and actually comes out and speaks a lot of truth to power. However, this group here, they have no real understanding of what's really going on, other than, you know, they could see the wickedness that's happening, and they're calling it out. Now, that being said, a lot of them unfortunately don't realize what's happening, right? They don't realize that a lot of this is biblical. Some of them do, but for the most part, this is a secular movement to try to take control back of the world. But unfortunately, this, other than calling out a spade for a spade, it's not going to do much, right? These are the unempowered masses, right? The people who have voiced their opinions for years and have been part of the anti-establishment movements for decades, but they have no real power. Esau, when I say Esau, I'm talking about the overall Caucasian race, and namely the top like 1% that rules the world. They have everything on lockdown. Everything is on lock. They, in their eyes, for all intents and purposes, they have won already, and they're simply just playing out the game now. They're playing out the motion for their agenda to be fulfilled. Now, what is their agenda? Well, it's like that lady said. It's to eradicate humanity as we know it, and primarily the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, the Israelites. Okay, you see Esau, the top leaders, the 1%, the people who actually understand what's going on and how it's all biblical, they realize that they have no future left as long as the Israelites are still here and are still in an undefiled state. This is why they're pushing so hard to bring forward this digital economy, the digital dollar, and eventually the digital IDs, which will lead to the digital marks, which will enslave you spiritually and physically to their agenda. Now, let's read this. This is Psalms 124:2. If it had not been for Yahawah, Bashem Yahushai, who was on our side when men rose up against us, then they had swallowed us up quick when their wrath was kindled against us. When the waters had overwhelmed us, the stream had gone over our soul. Then the proud waters had gone over our soul. So you see, when you look at the history of the Negro, Latino, and Native Americans and all that we've been through, from the mass captivities to the servitude to modern day indoctrination and brainwashing of our people to not know who we are, to basically be robbed of our heritage. It is a miracle that we have not been wiped out. We have been brought to the point of extinctions multiple times with the mass killing and enslavements of our people, with all these scandalous experiments that Esau is being exposed, like the Tuskegee experiments, all these medical experiments where they're secretly sterilizing our women and men. Again, if it was not for the Lord's will, we would be a destroyed race. Okay, this is something that has been in the plans of these devils, these Edomites, for a long time, and it goes all the way back to their forefather. This is Genesis 27:41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him, And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So you see, this hatred between the Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans and the Caucasians, this hatred goes back way further than just them enslaving us or us wanting retribution. It goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden, right? When the Lord put enmity between the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman being the children of God, namely us Israelites, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and the serpent seed being that of Esau, right? The descendants that come out of Esau, which is, again, he was basically Cain in the reincarnation. This is why there's so much hatred between us, our people, and we don't even understand it. A lot of our people don't understand that we have enemies and that our enemies are ruling over us. What does the scripture say? They that hate thee shall rule over thee. That's where we're at right now. And these devils, as the lady in this video has pointed out, they're working their agenda to destroy humanity as we know it. And they want to create that post-human future. Now, what does that post-human world look like? Well, that's where everybody's going to be hooked up to a machine, going to be a cyborg. They're going to transfer. This is what Esau wants, right? They're not going to do it, but they want to transfer your consciousness into robots. We've seen movies like Ghost in the Shell, Avatar, and other movies like that, where Esau shows or he projects what he wants reality to be. And why does he want to do this? Well, because you see, he wants less for everybody else and more for him, right? He won't have to worry about the useless eaters eating up resources and consuming his world. See, that's at least the way they see it. This is 2nd Ezra 9 and 20. So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that were come into it. And you see, these devices that have come into this world mainly are the work of Esau, right? Through the spiritual power that he's given by the Lord, and ultimately, through the Lord's servant, Satan. You see, these Edomites, the so-called Caucasian race, they are the spiritual children of Satan, right? They are his people, and they do his will. And again, don't take my word for it. Let's read it directly out of the horse's mouth. This here is Harold Wallace Rosenthal, biblically known as an Amalekite, which is of the top tribe of the nation of Edom, making him an Edomite. Okay, these are the true Amalekites. Okay, the Edomites, head nation. And he writes here, he says, most Jews do not like to admit it. And really, it shouldn't even say Jews, it should say most Edomites, right? So it really should read, most Edomites do not like to admit it, but our God is Lucifer, and we are his chosen people. And that's the truth. The people that lead the Edomite nation, or what we refer to them today as the 1%ers, or even the 3%ers, the kings of the earth, as the Bible calls them right now, right? These Edomite kings and these Edomite rulers, they know what's going on. They know who they are. They know that they go back to the line of Cain. They know that they descend from Esau. They know that they lost the birthright, which is why they're trying to kill off and spiritually defile the Israelites by giving us the mark of the beast, by injecting these snake bites. This is the work of the devil, right? And we're literally living right through it. And again, if the Lord had not sped up the time, then these devils would succeed. Because like I said, man, it doesn't matter what groups like this, Better Way conferences, what ideas they share, what opposition they put up. They're not going to be able to fight against the war machine that Esau has set up. See, Esau allows groups like the Better Way Conference to exist. Do you think that he couldn't go out there and stop them, arrest those people, silence them with the laws that he's passing? He could. But you see, he can't come out like that, right? He has to allow a percentage of them to come out as reasonable voices, right? He can't come out looking like a pure devil, right? This is why when we tell the world that these Edomites are the devil that the Bible speak of, everybody's like, well, why are you blaming the white man? Why? Not all of them are bad. No, man. As a nation, they are a wicked nation, and a lot of the so-called white people that you think are good people, they're not even white. Their lines go back to other nations. Okay, they just simply have melanin deficiency from their family historical background. All right, but the point being is that these devils, these Edomites, they're very cunning, and they allow planned opposition to flourish, so that way they have a cover for their wickedness. But it ain't gonna work, because why? Well, it tells you here. This is Job 20 and 23. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. And the he that it's talking about right here is talking about the wicked, which Job was having visions of, right? Because Job's seen these devils in power. He's seen how all the wicked shit that they did and that they were going to do. And he was basically prophesying about their future. And he also prophesied how the Lord was ultimately going to destroy these devils. Okay? And when he did that, he prophesied their destruction, right? The same destruction we read about in Obadiah 1 and 18, how these Edomites shall be cut off forever. Right? But right here, I brought this up because why? Because it says, this points out when this is going to happen. That when he is about to fill his belly, meaning when these Edomites are about to fulfill their New World Order agenda, right? Remember, the mark of the beast has to be made mandatory, right? At first, we're going to see it come out on the market, and at first it's going to be voluntary. People are going to start claiming it's the next best thing to slice bread, and everybody's going to want to get one. People are going to be lining up in these massive lines to get it. There's going to be a shortage, I'm sure, and they're going to make it seem like it's a scarce commodity, and they'll probably be giving them away as gifts and prizes on TV shows, or who knows, man. You'll probably see Oprah talking about everybody gets a chip, and people are going to be clapping and laughing and loving it, because with these chips are going to come freedom, money, all these things. This devil is going to try to promise the world as long as you get it, as long as you join his kingdom. But when they're about to get everybody chipped, when they start making it mandatory, when World War III kicks into high gear and everything looks like it's going to probably be over for everybody of the righteous seed, then that's when the Lord's going to destroy these devils. So we still got a little bit left to go, Akim, but again, we're very close. And then eventually this is what's going to happen. This is Isaiah 14 and 6. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nation in anger, is persecuted and none hindereth. The whole world is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. You see, before the Lord's second coming, he's going to raise up the nations against the Edomites. And they're all going to come up against Esau, and they're going to basically bring down a heavy judgment upon him. And there's going to be a lot of destruction. And like it tells you here, right, that they're going to be persecuted, and nobody's going to say, hey, cease fire. Those Edomites have had enough. No, they're going to continue, just like what's happening right now. How right now they're chanting no ceasefire over there in Gaza. What do you think the world's going to do when they finally had enough of Esau's shenanigans? They're going to give him exactly what he's been giving out to the rest of the world. And these devils, they're going to go down. Right? But either way, Akim, I just thought the speech that this lady gave was a good surmising of the condition that we're currently in, and that it highlights how the world that we grew up in no longer exists. We are in a new world. We are in that destroyed system which Esau has created, all so that way he could hold on to power. But again, we got to realize that this is why the times seem like they've sped up, because, you know, scientifically they've explained how the Schumann resonance, which is what the world vibrates at, how it's sped up, and how we are now perceiving the 24-hour days as 16 hours. And that's just because we're simply vibrating at a higher vibration. And science says this is because we've gone into a separate area of space which is more dense and hence causes more vibration, right? Increases that Schumann resonance. But ultimately, this is all the Lord's will. He planned all this. This is why we're seeing these volcanoes. What is it? Those 19 volcanoes up there in Iceland. They've all went off at the same time. Iceland is cracking in two. Right? There's a lot of crazy things going on right now. You have people rising up against the governments. Right? Sedition amongst men. The uprising of the people. See, we're there, Akim. So now we just have to, keep our eye on the prize, keep studying, and keep, staying diligent. So either way, hopefully this video was edifying, Akim. Until next time, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahawah, B'Hashem Yahawashi, B'Hashem Qadash. Shalom.